Hey, good morning. My name is Nathaniel Cook, and this morning we're going to be doing an instructional video on how to make a nutritional breakfast. So one of the first things we always do in this house, we always try to make sure we have a good, hearty, nutritional breakfast first thing in the morning to kick off our day. So one of the things we always eat in this house are Van's gluten-free waffles. They're non-GMO, no wheats. There's no gluten. This one serving has 200 calories. 33 grams of carbohydrates, 1 gram of sugar, 2 grams of protein. Here at this house, we actually like to measure our macros, but I actually split this serving in half and only eat one. So it's going to be 100 calories, 33 divided by 2, which is almost 17 grams of carbohydrates, less than 1 gram of sugar and 1 gram of protein. I also use, to butter those waffles, we don't use syrup in this house. We use just regular whole butter, natural butter. We don't use anything synthetic. And then obviously this right here, the most important part of your breakfast, your eggs. And in one egg usually contains about 70 calories, 6 grams of protein. But we use egg. We do a little bit of mix here between egg whites and regular eggs. So for all intents and purposes, I've kind of prepped some of the things here. And this right here is Kira. This is my little helper. Say hi, Kira. Wave with the camera. Okay, well, she's being shy this morning. No big deal. So one of the first things I do, I like to prep my workstation here. I go ahead and turn my burners on, and I have some non-stick pans. Sometimes if you don't have non-stick pans, one thing you want to kind of do is grease those pans up real good. That way your eggs don't stick. And then I'll go ahead and I'll start my waffles in the oven. And one thing I like to do, because like I said, I like to use egg whites. We used I'll split them up. I'll do. Let me go ahead and bring this camera up over here so you can see. All right. One thing that I like to do here is I like to use 3 whole eggs, and then I use the egg whites for that. So we'll break up 3 whole eggs in here. Make sure you try not to get any shells in your eggs because they end up being kind of crunchy and it's not good. I did that to my wife a couple times and she doesn't like it. So here we go. We got 3 in there right now. I use 3 whole eggs and 5 egg whites. So it's quite a bit of eggs. So what you do is to get those eggs, the actual yolks out of there, you break the egg in half and you want to kind of sift it between the shells and pull just those egg whites and keep the yolk out of there. Makes for a good little breakfast. So this breakfast usually is about 38 grams of protein, sometimes 40 depending on how my day is, which is super important. Protein is one of the most important parts of your meals and your day. I try to reduce the amount of carbohydrates we intake from breads and wheats and all that kind of good stuff here. Alright. So now that our pans are starting to heat up, I'm also making breakfast for the little girl here and for the wife. So we're gonna have 2 things going at the same time.
So we can go play in the snow.
So we can go play in the snow. That's right. It's snowing today. The blizzard's coming through today.
Yeah,
all right.
And Santa's.
So we got these pans kind of greased a little bit.
And Santa comes.
We're gonna pour theirs in there.
And Santa.
That's right.
Sauce.
All right.
No, I really need Santa Claus comes now.
So we're gonna break our eggs up, sift them around, mix them up real nice and good. One thing I like to do is I'm a big consistency person. I like to make sure that the consistency of my eggs is nice and good. I don't like clumps. I like them nice and fluffy.
I like mine actually fluffy.
You like yours fluffy also?
Yeah, I like that fluffy.
So one thing I'm gonna let you look at here. So you mix them up. This is what it's gonna look like, just like this.
Oh.
Okay.
Can you make my tie-dye shirt?
Oh, we already made your tie-dye shirt.
Thank you, Daddy, Mom.
So during this process, I like to sift the eggs through, constantly move them. That way they don't stick to the pan.
I love Israelis, okay? I'll fix this egg.
And it helps. Sometimes if you have your pan too hot, it'll make the egg stick to the bottom of the pan. You lose a lot of the egg that way, so you don't want to try to. You want to try to make sure you don't have it too hot. but not too cold where it takes forever making your eggs. You got a hungry little girl here. She likes to eat.
Yeah.
All right. So the consistency of your eggs is super important in this. One of the things you want to make sure you do is you don't leave them on here too long, or as they kind of turn nasty, and the consistency really messes up. And then, so I like to sip it through here, and I'll pull these off because you got one thing you got to remember is that you okay? Is that this stuff continues to cook even after you've done it. So you see here, I like my eggs nice and fluffy. All right. And yeah, this is specifically for me. I eat kind of a lot of eggs. Alright. So I'll make sure these are nice and fluffy, and we'll let them just sit there and cool off. I'll turn the burners off. That way we don't continue to cook the house, waste electricity here. We'll let these cool down. And the little girl here, she likes a slice of cheese. So we'll put a slice of cheese on these for her, and then we'll get back to that. Recap: one of the things you want to make sure you do is measure your eggs. Make sure you always know what you're putting in your mouth, and then once you actually get the eggs cooking, you always make sure you continuously sift through these. That way, the consistency is good and doesn't stick to the pan. You don't lose a lot of it. So what you see here, there's not a lot of vegetables on here. However, this is about 5 egg whites plus 3 regular eggs and 1 gluten-free waffle. So you have your carbohydrates and your protein. Normally, if you want to get a good mix, you put vegetables in it, and you just measure those out. So, like say 1 cup of spinach. That's a good source of a good vegetable with a carbohydrate. This right here is about 395 calories, probably about 400 calories, and only 17 grams of carbohydrates and 37 grams of protein.